This will be for the con assignment, tangents of circles problems. All sides of A, B, C, D are tangent to circle P. What is the perimeter of the quadrilateral below? So for this problem here, you want to remember if two tangent segments meet at the same endpoint outside the circle, then those tangent segments are congruent. All right. So this line segment here is 8, which means this line segment here is also going to be 8. And the reason that is because both of these are tangent to the same circle and they meet at the same point. So you want to go around the circle and do the whole thing that we just did there. So at this point here, this section here is 3.1. So this section right here is also going to be 3.1. All right. And at this endpoint here, this line segment right here is 8. Therefore, this line segment right here is also going to be 8. All right. And the whole thing down here, the whole segment is 11.1. And this segment is 8. So this one right here is going to be 11.1 minus 8. All right, because the whole thing is 11.1 and this one is 8. So that just equals 3.1. So this segment right here is going to be 3.1. All right, and at this endpoint right here, if this segment is 3.1, this one right here is also going to be 3.1. All right. So it looks like all the sides of the quadrilateral are equal. It's not always going to work out that way. But we can see each side is 8 plus 3.1, which is 11.1. And we have that on the bottom, on the right, and the left. Okay, so since each side is 11.1 and there's 4 sides, in this case, we can just do 11.1 times 4 for the total perimeter. And that's going to be 44.4. Final answer. All right, like I said, it's not always going to be that all 4 sides are congruent. It just worked out that way in this case. So click in the box and just type 44.4. Okay, AC is tangent to circle O at point C. What is the length of AC? All right. So remember the tangent line. The tangent line is a line that hits the circle or intersects the circle at just one point. All right, it has to be a continuous line. You can't draw something like this right there and say that's a tangent line. That's just not true. That's not a tangent line. All right, and the other thing you want to remember, if you draw a radius, okay, they said circle O, so this has to be the center. And that would make this a radius, okay? And this line right here, AC, is a tangent line. So if you draw a radius to the point of tangency, it's going to make a right angle. All right, so the radius will make a right angle with the tangent line. All right, so this is perpendicular right here. That's a right angle. So the other thing you want to remember, the radius of a given circle is the same regardless of where you draw it, okay? So this right here is the radius, all right? So if we drew another radius over here, that would also be the same length. That would be 5 units, all right? So this is a radius, and from here to here is also a radius. So this distance right here is 5, all right? And we can see this line segment right here is going to be 8 plus 5. So this whole side right here is just going to be 13. All right. Since we have a right triangle and we have 2 sides, we can use Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, C is always the hypotenuse across from the right angle. So if you go across from the right angle, this whole side right here is the hypotenuse. So that is 13, and that's what we're going to use for C. So for C squared, I'm going to use 13 squared. And A and B are the legs. This segment here, I'll call that A. And this side length right here, I'm going to call that B. So A is what we're looking for. So A squared we're going to leave alone. And B is 5, so B squared is going to be 5 squared. All right, so we have A squared. 5 times 5 is 25. 13 times 13 is 169. Subtracting 25 from both sides. 25 minus 25 cancels. Bring down the A squared. 169 minus 25 equals 144. The opposite of squared is square root. So in order to solve for A, we take the square root of both sides, and A is just 12. Okay, of course, we're not going to use negative 12 because a side length cannot be negative. So this side AC right here is 12 units. And that's what they asked. They asked for side length AC. So you just click in the box and type 12. All right, it says angle A is circumscribed about circle O. What is the measure of angle A? All right, so since angle A here is circumscribed, we know that point C and point B are points of tangency. All right, and it said circle O, so we know that O is the center. So these lines right here and this one right here, they're both radiuses or radii. Okay, so when you draw a line, when you draw a radius to the point of tangency, it makes a right angle. So this is going to be a right angle, and this one down here is going to be a right angle. All right. Now we can see angle D as an inscribed angle. All right, the vertex is on the circle itself, and we know that an inscribed angle is half the measure of the arc it intercepts. All right, so if this is 65, that's going to be half of this arc right here. So in other words, this arc is going to be 2 times 65. If we do 2 times 65, we get 130. All right, so the measure of this arc right here is 130 degrees. And the central angle, the measure of the central angle matches the measure of the arc. So if this arc is 130, the central angle right here is also going to be 130. All right, so in other words, this central angle is just 2 times the inscribed angle. And now we can solve for angle A. All right, so here we have a quadrilateral. This is a side, this is a side, this is a side, and this is a side. All right, we know the angles, the interior angles of a quadrilateral add to 360. So I'm going to call this one X. All right, so we have angle X. And going around, we have 90. And right here, we have 90. And right here, we have 130. Okay, those 4 angles of a quadrilateral equal 360. All right, I don't have enough, well, I'll just write it right here. They equal 360. All right, so combining like terms, nothing to combine with X. 90 plus 90 is 180 plus 130, that's going to be 310. All right, so I just combine 90, 90, and 130, and that whole thing equals 360. All right, subtracting 310 from both sides. The 310s cancel, and x is 360 minus 310, that's just 50. Final answer. So click inside the box and just type 50. Okay, angle A is circumscribed about circle O. What is the measure of angle O? All right, since angle A is circumscribed, that means these are points of tangency, point C and point B. Okay, so they said circle O. We know this is the center, and we know these two segments right here are radiuses or radii. If you draw a radius to the point of tangency, it makes a right angle. So there's one here, and there's a right angle down here. And they want us to find the measure of angle O. All right, we're just going to call that X. And we said a minute ago, the four angles, interior angles of a quadrilateral add to 360. So we have 46 plus 90 plus 90 plus X. And that equals 360. Combining like terms, 90 plus 90 is 180, 220, 226. That's plus X, and that equals 360. All right, so I just combine these three to get 226. Solving for X, subtract 226 on both sides. Cancels right here. Bring down your X. And let's see, 10 minus 6 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3. And 3 minus 2 is 1. So X is going to be 134. All right, so that's this angle right here. And the answer makes sense. We can see it looks like it's about 134. And you just click inside the box and you type 134. All right, last one. It says AC is tangent to circle O at point C. What is the measure of angle OAC? All right, so this is, let me see here. This is the point of tangency right here at point C. And they said circle O, so we know that O is the center, and we know that this is a radius. When you draw a radius to the point of tangency, it makes a right angle. All right, and we want to find angle A. I'll just call that X. And since we have the two angles here, we can solve for X. We know the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180. So we have X plus 63 plus 90, and that equals 180. Combining like terms, 63 plus 90 is going to be 153, and that equals 180. All right, so I just combine those two. And subtracting 153 on both sides. Cancels right here. Bring down your X. 180 minus 153 is 27. Final answer. Okay, and the answer makes sense. This looks like an acute angle that would be about 27. So you just click inside the box and type 27.